you can imagine my complete and total utter lack of surprise that an organization with one Tony Khan and any type of senior level leadership position, executive position, has some problems. Gee, imagine that. The Jacksonville Jaguars certainly have their problems, and 2021 was certainly no different. My God, the Urban Meyer debacle was just that and then some. What an unmitigated disaster that was. It was so bad, they had to fire him, and he didn't even get through one season. Like, this was a guy you're bringing in. Hey, man, this is a guy that's won everywhere at college. Now you're going to bring him to the NFL. He's going to work with your young quarterback, Trevor Lawrence. Like, this is exciting. They've made a big splashy move. And maybe it's a good reminder that there was a reason that Urban Meyer was available. Yikes. Like, they tried it. They went there. And it absolutely didn't work. And one of the unfortunate side effects of that is that Trevor Lawrence's 2021 season, frankly, was a bit of a debacle too. I mean, it doesn't mean he's a bust. I'm not saying anything like that, but it certainly wasn't a great rookie year by any stretch of the imagination. If you're a Jaguars fan, you were looking to drafting a quarterback number 1 overall, drafting Trevor Lawrence as being like the beginning of a new era of Jaguars football. It felt like more of the same old crap, frankly, didn't it? I mean, he was not good. He was not put in a good situation to succeed. I can go on and on and on with the way Urban Meyer handled James Robinson. Like, we could just keep going here on that ass clown all frickin' day. So the good thing is 2021 is in the rearview mirror. Urban Meyer's gone, mercifully. And now you can focus on the future with your quarterback, Trevor Lawrence. And in case anybody's wondering, I've got a cat, Panda. You can see him here. He just will not leave me alone today. Say hi, Panda. There you go. There you go. He wanted to talk about the team with the cat's name on it. He doesn't really care, but he'd rather just bother and annoy the hell out of me. But anyways, talking about the Jacksonville Jaguars. Giving Trent Baalke general manager powers, I'm sorry, that's a choice. And a weird one at that. Like, what does Trent Baalke do for you that makes you decide that you want to give him an unreasonably large amount of personnel and executive power in your organization? Like, is his track record really that great? I don't know. But ultimately, the Jags went out there, and after initially it looked like they were going to hire Byron Leftwich, only for him to say, no, I don't think so. I don't really want to be a part of this shit show. And more power to him for that. They went a different route and ended up hiring Doug Pederson to be Trevor Lawrence's quarterback whisperer. And I'll say this, Pederson's got his flaws, yes. But when you look at it, the fact remains, no matter how much anybody wants to try and minimize it, Doug Pederson won a Super Bowl as an NFL head coach. Head coaches with that on their resume aren't available all the time. So they could have done much, much worse in this cycle. Would Byron Leftwich probably have been the best candidate for the job? Perhaps. But is that just because you're saying, well, he used to play for the organization, so that makes him the better choice? Maybe. But Doug Pederson, like, it could be much worse. Like, you can sit there and say, well, it was when Carson Wentz's 2017 was in part due to Frank Reich. I have not debating that. But it wasn't all because of him. I'm just saying. So what you do know is new head coach, and as seems to be the pattern every couple of years, and even though Jags fans got pissy at me for saying this months ago, it's true. No team, I think, in the last decade has spent more money in free agency than the Jacksonville Jaguars. That's because they're a poorly run organization that traditionally drafts in a pretty shitty fashion. They do. And they went on a massive free agent spending spree. They gave massive money to Christian Kirk, brought in Brandon Scherf, Zay Jones, and Evan Ingram on that offense. On the defensive side of the ball, they bring in Olawokun, and they bring in Darius Williams, and Fatukasi, and Arden Key. Like, that was a lot of money they threw around. Understandably, why they did it, because they know this team stinks, and they have holes all over the place on the roster. But when you're in a place where you have to spend that much money in free agency, it's not really a good reflection of the state of the organization. It's not really a good portender of future success. As far as the draft, what did it bring? You know, in terms of the defensive side of the ball, Trayvon Walker was the guy that they ultimately went with, number 1 overall, and he's got a freakish athletic upside. We'll see how that translates to him as an edge rusher at the NFL level. And then they were able to maneuver back into the tail end of round 1 and got Devin Lloyd, the linebacker from Utah. So you're going to probably see those 2 guys in that linebacking core right away. Excited to see what they will do there. Drafted other guys like Luke Fortner. I think he's going to start in the interior of that offensive line. Snoop Connor will have some type of role, I'd imagine, at some point in the backfield. You know, the team got better. The Jags got better in the offseason. I don't think there's any question about that. Their head coach is better. The talent is better on the team. Like, how much it manifests initially into wins or losses, I don't know. Like, every year you look and there are teams that go from worst to first. Could the Jaguars be a worst to first team in their division? Shit, stranger things have happened. If I had told you before the start of last season, like if I came on here and I said, hey, the Bengals are going to get to the Super Bowl and almost win the whole damn thing, you guys would have laughed at me. Deservedly so. Stuff happens. But when you look at this team, what do I like about the Jags? Doug Pederson. Certainly a massive upgrade over Urban Meyer. There you go. Defensively, I like the linebacking core. With the switch to the 3-4, you've got Josh Allen as an edge rusher, Trayvon Walker, Devin Lloyd. I like Olivakun. Like, their linebacking core is something that could be the foundation of a pretty good defense there in Jacksonville. And I also think their offensive line has improved with the addition of Brandon Scherf. You look at that unit, and that to me, I say, you know, that's not the worst offensive line unit. Lots of concerns about this team, though. The offensive skill players. Like, just because you want to pay Christian Kirk like he's a number 1 wide receiver doesn't mean that he is. And you let DJ Chark go, you know, ugh. The offensive skill player is not great. The secondary, I think, stinks. And then I've got major concerns about Trevor Lawrence. Like, I wasn't quite as huge on him as others coming out of Clemson. I think he's got some big playability, but I thought his big playability, frankly, was overrated. I thought his arm talent was a bit overrated. I don't think he's a bum. I don't think he's going to be a bust, but you know, he needs to take a big step forward in year 2, and that's the bottom line. Now, if he does, like, the Jaguars could have a whole different shift in terms of how folks view them in 2022 and beyond. Looking ahead to their schedule, a couple of the games that I see that really stand out to me. Week 2, hosting Indianapolis. There's a chance for them early on against a divisional team at home. Get you a win on the board there would be a nice way to kind of kick off the year. Week 5, hosting Houston. You know, Houston stunk last year. Maybe you're confident that Trevor Lawrence is better than Davis Mills. There's maybe another opportunity for a win. Week 7, you host the Giants. There's a chance to potentially pick one up over Danny Dimes. Yeah, I'm really picking here. And I'm probably underplaying the potential of the Jaguars here just a little bit, to be very clear. But I still don't think they're a very good team. I think they will improve off of 2021, but they were god-awful, abysmally bad, and I always get concerned about teams that have to spend this much in free agency. Typically, that doesn't really pan out. So I think the Jaguars are going to finish last in this division again. They're going to finish something like 5-12, which, like I said, is going to be an improvement. This is not a one-year fix for this team, in my opinion. Could they outplay my prediction here a little bit? Certainly could. I just personally would not put any money on it.